Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, EM brings along her kid to work unannounced. Addendum to EM brings along her kid to work unannounced. Update: EM brings along her kid to work unannounced. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. EM brings along her kid to work unannounced. Background: my company sets up a booth at an carnival and we engaged several part-timers to assist at the carnival. The part-timers are required to go around the carnival ground to distribute flyers, share information and direct visitors to our booth. The story. On the day of the carnival, after setting up, I met up with the part-timers to prepare them for the day. Out of all the part-timers, only EM was late. She mentioned she will be 15 minutes late, but it was closer to an hour. As we couldn't wait, I briefed the others and deployed them for the day. When EM arrived, she had her kid in tow, 5 to 6 years old. Due to job nature, we can't have her lugging her kid while working. EM knew this. EM, my husband couldn't handle kid, so I had to bring her along. Me, I can't have you working with your kid. EM, it's not my problem. If you don't like it, get someone to watch over him. My colleague, C, who was watching this unfold, offered to watch over her kid. He was only required to help out during the start and end of the carnival, so was entirely free during the event. I thought alright, since he was free. See, I can watch over her, get her some food, watch some shows, play some games. But you'll need to pay me. EM, whatever. But I'm not paying you for your time, only for, kid. C, grinning sure. I was flabbergasted. C told me not to worry, he had a plan. Once EM started working, C brought EM's kids systematically through every single booth throughout the entire carnival. It was the kids' dream come through and, I believe, her best day ever. Whatever she wanted to eat, C bought. She saw a lot of the shows and won many prizes. Since C had an staff pass, he didn't need to pay for the shows, only for the kid. At the end of the carnival, when we were clocking the hours worked, EM had the nerve to insist to be paid full even though she was late for almost 1 hour. She said that because of various reasons, mainly due to her kid, she would have been early. She was ranting and I didn't really pay any attention, as I was tired and I don't decide on the pay, but it was about how I will never understand as I don't have kids and how she deserves it because she was a mother. My manager nearby winked at me and took over. He said he was very pleased with the day's sales and how we are very supportive of her and we should give kids the best. He told not to worry about the hours she worked and EM will be paid in full. After hearing this, not even a single thanks from EM, she declared in a loud voice, "At least someone understands." She had this condescending and victorious look on her face. Thankfully, it didn't last long. The sucker punch for EM was that EM's kid spent roughly $100, and with EM's pay at $15 per hour for 8 hours, equals $120, she made a whopping $20 for the whole day. C made it a point to keep track of the expenses, receipts, tickets, stubs, etc., and took tons of photos. Of course, EM threw a fit, but with the amount of evidence and her daughter vouching for all the fun she had. EM had no case except to yell, "I'm not paying for this," grabbed her daughter and stormed off. We look forward on payday when we issue her a check of $20, after subtracting the amount her daughter spent. Kids sounded like they had the best day. Who wouldn't have fun with unlimited games and food at a carnival? Honestly, I like the fact the other employees still obviously made sure the kid had an amazing day as well as the malicious compliance. This is such a beautiful way to wipe that smirk off her face. Plus the kiddo had fun, and will probably keep talking about that day to her EM over and over again. Sweet, sweet revenge. Probably the best way how to deal with EM. M agreed to pay for kids' expenses at the carnival and agreed to the payroll deductions when hired, she got herself on that one. She thought she was clever to specify she wouldn't pay for coworker babysitter, but didn't think to put limit on what child could spend at carnival. Kid asked, kid got, mom pays. Addendum to EM brings along her kid to work unannounced. I did not expect my post to get so much attention. Thank you for the upvotes and comments. I guess the purpose of this is to address some points that I've decided to miss out so that the story didn't get too long. I owe it to my wonderful team and company, who have been extremely supportive to me. I've noticed some comments hastily condemning or judging the people involved, me, my company, to be assholes, bitches, thieves, etc. Let's not be judgmental here, I'll shortly explain why. Just wanted to share the level of entitlement EM has, which is the purpose of this subreddit. More details at the carnival. C was able to watch it unfold, because the interaction between me and EM when she brought along a kid was a good 10 minutes. Basically, it wasn't the first time this happened, we'll share more later, and I had already told her to go home. EM refused to leave because she felt the job was owed to her and she was entitled to the full pay, even though she was sent home. She was yelling and throwing a tantrum, pay me now and I'll leave. Hence, C stepped in. The kid was only 5 to 6 years old. We didn't think it would be appropriate for her to be following her mom around the carnival under the hot sun for the full day, which was what EM suggested she would be doing. My kid can hold on to my belt throughout the day. I've done this before. EM said that it will only be for a few hours as her husband will come later, an obvious lie as she had done this before. As expected, no one turned up and EM conveniently not bring it up anymore. C is a jolly, lovable person in the company with his quick wits and laid-back attitude. He's really harmless and not as malicious I made him out to be. What's a story without some embellishment, hee hee. It was his off time and he had plans to go home and come back later in the evening. He chose to stay as he saw I needed help. He initially only intended to spend $30 on the kid, as that was only what he had in the wallet. He intended it to be a slap on the wrist for EM after the carnival when he tried to claim the amount from her. He systematically planned a route for the both of them so the kid can see as much of the carnival as possible before getting tired. 6-year-old kid. Throughout the day, some of the guys also chipped in, seeing how much fun she was having. Of course, C had the quick wits to pool it together and seek revenge on EM. At the end of the carnival, again she made a big scene about payment and hours worked. The part-timers were required to report 30 minutes before the carnival start time for preparation. EM reported 45 minutes after the carnival started. Including the argument with me in preparations, she only started 1.5 hours into the carnival. We couldn't give in to her and it wouldn't be fair to the others who reported on time. To which she replied that she deserved it because she has a kid and should be given the full amount even if we had to deduct the pay of the other part-timers because these people without kids don't need it. She even tried asking for a bonus because she could see how well the sales went because of how well she performed. We could have deducted the amount from her pay, it will not be illegal, more on this later. But we wanted to screw with her, so we are planning to issue 2 checks to her name, $20 and $120. First, she'll be issued the $20 check with the deductions. If she accepts this, we'll continue engaging her along with a long talk about her attitude and hope she changes. If not, we'll issue her what is rightfully hers and not engage her anymore. Let's just hope her sense of entitlement isn't so much that she demands for both checks. About EM. Although entitled and difficult to work with, EM has been trained by the company and is competent to perform her duties, caveat, if she wants to perform them properly. Generally a nice person to talk to, and tries to give her best for her kid. Most of our part-timers are considered employees with their rights and privileges under applicable labor laws in my country. EM somehow feels she's above this. She calls herself a consultant/manager, managing consultant, or some fanciful title. Can't be sure, it sounds too confusing. In most companies, EM is considered a freelancer, which means little to no labor rights/privileges. If there are any dispute, she can only turn to small claims tribunal, which in turn, we can turn to for the childcare services. Additionally, she also feels that paperwork is beneath her and her secretary, i.e. in this case, me, should settle it for her. When all of us were doing the paperwork to clock the time worked, she had the time to make a scene. The main benefit to EM as a freelancer is that she can negotiate payment and determine her own terms, along with the ability to engage several companies at a time, which she does. EM doesn't really need the money, but does it because it is too much of a deal to pass off. The job of this nature usually cost around $10 per hour, but she managed to negotiate with HR for $15. EM is known to bring her kid along for work to force things her way or get an advantage. Some examples: taking a longer, 2 hours instead of 1, break because her kid is with her. Negotiating for more pay right before working. Never bothered looking for a sitter because she feels there are people sitting around and look free to watch over her kid. I've personally watched over her kid before around a year or so before, as she brought along her kid. Thankfully, it was only for a 2 to 3 hours. She sat with me in the office while I worked on my computer. A really well-behaved, sweet girl that didn't give problems. I switched on some cartoons for her to watch on the laptop. Hope this gives a clearer perspective of all parties. Just wanted to highlight the entitlement, and there's no need for personal attacks. PS payment will be made this Friday and I'll update the outcome. Entitlement, delusions of grandeur, narcissism, considers her child a tool to use for her benefit, possibly sociopathic tendencies, she's a person to be wary of. She should be put on the people of interest list for posing a threat to humankind. By the way, isn't the abbreviation of your username EM? Update: EM brings along her kid to work unannounced. Note: not sure if I am allowed to put this post up as the story doesn't involve a parent entitlement, although it is about the entitled mom from my previous post. I'll remove the post if it's not relevant to entitled parents. The reason for the delay in the update is that EM instructed us to mail her the check. Usually for payment, HR will call the part-timers, confirm the amount/check details, and work out the schedule for any upcoming work. From what I heard from HR, she conveniently left out the portion of her kid's expenses which she promised to pay. Quoting her, "I expect the check of $120 to be in my mail." Though we were all a little bummed that we were unable to carry out our plan of issuing her with the $20 check, life goes on, and we intend not to engage EM for any work in the future. As with all checks we issue, it will only be to the account pay only. Checks are stamped in big bold letters, non-negotiable AC pay only. This is important, because last Thursday, HR received a call from the EM demanding that we reissue another check to her name because she didn't receive the check in her mail. Furthermore, she requested for someone in the company to personally deliver it to her so that it doesn't get lost in the mail again. For such incidents, we'll check the accounts to ensure that the amount is not transferred and call the bank to void the check. However, for EM, we noticed that the amount was successfully transferred on Wednesday. There was another long phone call between HR and EM, and I guess by this time, HR had given up trying to reason with EM and she looked sympathetic when she transferred the call to me, telling me she demands to speak with you. I'm sorry. I'm in charge of part-timer training and deployment. I sighed and picked up the receiver. As I was telling HR, I did not receive the check in my mail which you promised you mailed out last Friday. Me, look, just calm down, there is no need to shout, I'm sure we can figure it out. My manager checked with the bank and your check was cleared. The money was transferred into your account. I did not even manage to finish what I wanted to say. Do not tell me your problem. I just need to know when you will come by my place to give the check to me. Me, wait, what? HR, promise me that you will give the check to me. Me, let me check with her about this arrangement. EM started yelling again, but I put her on hold. Maybe some soothing elevator music would calm her down. Checking with HR, she explained to EM about the situation and EM didn't listen. She insists that, HR, bring down the check because I promised her, HR, would go. This was entirely false. I did not contact her. Me, picking up on the call, hi, I've checked with HR. EM, so when will you come by? She stopped yelling, the elevator music seemed to work. Me, look, there's nothing we can do. We cannot issue a new check because the old check cleared. EM started yelling again, so I put her on hold again for a bit before speaking with her again. Did this a couple of times to shut her up. Me, stop yelling and start listening. I can just hang up on you because you were paid. As far as we know, the company issued a cross-check in your name, which was cleared. You should know what a cross-check is, right? From past conversations with her, she applied for part-time jobs as a bank teller and put me as one of her character references. EM, maybe it's the postman who took it or some stranger stole it from my letterbox. Me, doing a mental facepalm. Even if they stole it, they cannot bank it in. Look here, we don't time for this anymore. If you are unsatisfied with the resolution, please seek legal recourse. EM started raising her voice about her being an employee and employee rights and suing. Me, no, you aren't. We don't even have any documents stating you are one of our part-timers. In fact, who are you again? I'm not sure who I am talking to. Slams phone down. I wish I could tell you guys I did that, but in actual fact, I just listened to her ramble on a bit and told her that I can't do anything and that she's a freelancer, which are not covered under employee rights. If she wished to pursue this, she can seek assistance with small claims court. Me, trying to change the topic and end the conversation. Anyway, the bank engaged a company to screen the candidates and they called me asking about you. EM, sounded slightly happier. Really? What did they ask? You told them about my good performance, right? Me, yeah, I did. I received the call the week after the carnival. They asked about her job role, job performance, strengths, areas for improvement, which I answered based on facts. EM is competent despite her entitlement. But the final question was, if given the chance, would you hire EM again? No matter how I tried, I really found it hard to say yes to this question. So I responded negative after a brief hesitation. The caller was kinda taken aback. I guess I could understand his confusion as I've answered previous questions positively. When he probed further, I kept it brief and said it was her sense of entitlement. It may have been said a million times, but I'll say it again. EMs are idiots. So why couldn't you give her only the $20 again? So the coworker lost the money he spent on her offspring? EMS are majestic creatures. They need to be preserved in glass chambers with no contact to outside world. People shouldn't list you as a reference unless they want you to tell the truth. My former best friend listed me as a past employer, never employed her, nope, thinking that because SHE was a pathological liar, I would go along with it. When they called me for a reference, I was so mad that I told them the truth. I wasn't a former employer. She lies without caring who it hurts. And if they hired her, they'd open themselves up for massive lawsuits. He was taken aback but thanked me for my candor. The friendship ended a few days later. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.